خیلی ممنون. در این قسمت سخنرانی اسام شکری دبیر کمیته مرکزی حزب کمونیست کارگری عراق و چپ عراق رو داریم. فقط یه توضیح بدم که اسام شکری مریض بود و متاسفانه ما فکر میکردیم که نمیتونه به این جلسه بیاد، ولی خوشحال شدیم که به هر حال هر جوری شد خودش رو رسوند. خیلی ممنون. خواهش میکنم بفرمایید.
Isam, you want to sit down?
No, I'm fine, thank you. Good evening, comrades, and I really want to extend my congratulations to the foundation of Worker Communist Party of Iran. And I'm again proud to be present among my comrades. A few days ago, comrades, Germany celebrated the toppling of the Berlin Wall. And I believe everybody saw that celebration and jubilation and extraordinary euphoria of happiness that Germany organized very well. But my question is, was it really that happy? Did it really make people happier and in a better place? Not only the people of Germany, I'm talking about the Berlin Wall as a symbol of a major political change, a world-class political change. Was it really that deserved that jubilation and euphoria, as I said? I will try to answer that later on, probably by conclusion, not by stating anything. When I was younger, in 1991, when the Soviet red flag was put down, and I heard the announcer from Moscow radio saying that the banner of the Soviet Union has been put down forever, I honestly felt sad, because that was a red banner anyway. I was an organized communist at the time, and I was sitting in a Baghdad which was torn up by the American bombers, B-52s and the rest of it. But a hint came to my mind. Was that the beginning of a story, or that was the end of a story? And I really started to think that there is probably an opening of hope with my intuition about the situation back then, because everything was so chaotic in Iraq and was so confused about it. And that's another question I will answer later on. Was it the beginning of a story, or was it the end of the story of communism? So at the same time, comrades, when I mentioned these two events, the toppling of Berlin Wall and the putting down of the red banner, which we all know our position now from, thanks to the WPI, thanks to the work and cadres of the Worker Communist Party of Iran and Mansour Hikmet in particular, and Comrade Hamid Taqwai as well, and all the other cadres. We know it's clear for us, we have answers. We know what the Soviet communism is, what the Chinese communism is. But back then, it was unclear for many communists. It was many of them went into depression, because they thought, this is it. You know, the Soviets have gone, and now. Amazingly, and I really realized that afterwards, amazingly, this party, and I'm trying to be as objective as possible, could see through the dust, could see through the debris of Berlin Wall and all this fake termination of communism and the happiness and the claims made by the bourgeois thinkers regarding the end of history, the end of class struggle, and the eternal winning of capitalism. Among that dust, as I said, among that vagueness and depression, the Worker Communist Party of Iran was working hard to achieve a vision that later on I grasped and adopted, and I felt so close and real. This party is the Worker Communist Party of Iran, comrades. And when I say the start of the story or end of the story, I think it should be understood by you what I mean by that. As I said, they pictured communism had been dead. They pictured that the history has finished, especially by Fukuyama. They pictured that the class struggle has stopped. They pictured that the final victory of democracy has achieved its conclusion. And eventually they said that the slavery of wage labor is here to stay. It's forever. They painted a very fake and unreal picture of the reality. They said that the world will be filled with roses and human rights. Now let me go back a little bit to the future. Yesterday, 4 men in Aleppo were beheaded. I don't know if you saw the picture by ISIS, Daesh. They were laid side by side with their necks exposed, and they were chopped like that. At the time, and I'm going back to the 1991, George Bush Sr. pictured the world to come as an oasis of freedom. The neoconservatives pictured the world to come, and especially the invasion of Iraq and the forces allied with them, as a bright example of democracy. And America said, this is the ultimate winning of capitalism, and it's like a solid bedrock, will not ever be moved. Another jump into history would picture us probably 20 years later when the streets of New York were shaking with the protest of the 99% movement. And they all shouted, "We are the 99% of the world." Who has predicted these results or outcome? Who has said that what is happening is not a happy picture? It's not a better world. It's not oasis of democracy. It's going to be filthy, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be messy. That was the Worker Communist Party of Iran, comrades. And that was at the foundation, and probably even before its foundation in 1991. They predicted what now, and I'm sorry to say that, this is the filthiest moment on Iraq history. It's never been as dark and as stark as we can witness it now. And you all witness what's happening at the hands of those barbarians, ISIS. And I consider correctly with the WPI that these barbarians are nothing but the outcome of the New World Order, the work of George W. Bush Sr. and Jr., the world that they created in order to fill the gap that was created by the Soviet Union, the gap that they wanted to fill with those filthy, backward, barbaric forces, starting with the Islamic Republic of Iran and ending with the smallest soldier in ISIS. Comrades, the foundation of the Worker Communist Party was a manifestation also of the end of the stupid version of communism called Soviet communism. And that this communism was truly the version that people believed, and then the West started to deal with when it's toppled as the end of communism. Also, the foundation of the party, or the founding of the party, was an announcement that communism in fact can restart, it can be reincarnated after 60 or 70 or so years of stopping at the October Revolution, as you all know. The founding of the Worker Communist Party of Iran was an initiative to raise the banner of socialism yet again. The socialism of the worker this time. And hence the word worker, and you all know now, and it's kind of a classical explanation of why called worker communism and not communism per se. Also, the founding of the party was a manifestation that the claims of democracy and human rights was just but an empty shell or an empty slogan. It had no meaning. And it was also an announcement that a struggle will continue, and a struggle actually will start. So I go back to my story. Was it the end or the beginning? I think it was the beginning of a struggle. And the Worker Communist Party of Iran historically, uniquely, internationally have started this movement. Internationally, not on the region of the Middle East. The party has struggled and struggling today to defend women, to end gender apartheid, to support secularism, to denounce the Islamic Republic and expose its actions, to denounce political Islam and expose its actions around the world, to struggle against the laws that were put against workers, to deprive them of their rights on a daily basis, on an hourly basis. This is the work of the Worker Communist Party of Iran. It had formed and politically active groups and organizations to defend immigrants, to stop execution and capital punishment, to defend children's rights. This is a party that we all feel proud of, and I personally feel proud of. Does, in your opinion, the situation today looks in stark contrast to what the WPI had said 20 or so years back, or even 30 years back when it was still called the Communist Party of Iran? I don't think so. I think it still applies. Look at Daesh, look at Jihad, look at Hamas and Nusra and Shia political Islam. Look at Hezbollah and the Sadr movement and the Islamic Republic and Bashar al-Assad and Erdogan and all the rest of them. These are the outcome of 20 years of neoconservatism with the attempts of the US to bring those from the margins of society, from the caves, from the most far away from civil society places into the heart of society. This is the outcome of the New World Order that the party actually based its political platform on, with the gory dawn of the New World Order of Mansour Hikmet. That was the direction that gave, and it was such a unique direction that even the left itself was in shock to read that. Have we forgotten, comrades, the atrocities of Abu Ghraib in Iraq by the American army? Do you remember the pictures of flogging innocent soldiers naked and piling them up and taking photographs to them? Do you remember the guy who was like crucified with and electrocuted? Do you remember the prison of Boka? Do you remember the bloodbath of the Ministry of Interior in Iraq? If we do remember that, then how come Daesh is so weird to occupy Mosul? How come Daesh is so uniquely surprising the bourgeois media when they have prepared the way and paved the way for such barbarity in Iraq? Isn't it true that Bremer, the civil ruler of Baghdad, I would say, sat down with the sectarian Shia political Islam and agreed that they hand them the rule in order to rule Iraq. Isn't that true? Isn't that what America wanted? Yes, it is. So this is the outcome of a policy that torn Iraq apart and still tearing it apart. Is there any surprise that they claim, oh, how come they occupied Mosul so fast? As if, you know, they are really surprised. I think this is all a media propaganda. Comrades, our party, the WPI, was correct in its outlook to the situation, which, by the way, it had initially grown and was raised inside those circumstances. He wasn't like an observer from outside. This party was in the middle. It was in Kurdistan, Iraq, it was abroad, it was everywhere. And amid these circumstances, it could give the right direction to the movement. Therefore, I consider that party is not a normal party. This party is not a routine party that you can talk about any other party, left or communist. This is an exceptional party that must be supported and activated and fed with new faces, with new cadres, and to support this party. This party is a political activist that we have all to support with all our force. Comrades, myself and my comrades in the Left Worker Communist Party of Iraq. By the way, I have to introduce you to two comrades who came from Baghdad, my comrade Susan and my comrade Ammar Sawaz, who came and joined us here. And they all have great respect and regard to this party in Baghdad. And Ammar asked me many times, can I picture Comrade Hamid Mansour? Can I picture him? I said, of course you can. So, comrades, we are proud to be in your movement. We are proud to be in the same party. And we are proud to struggle together for the same targets. What are these targets? Let me reiterate them. And I hope I don't take much of your time. Abolishing of wage labor, abolition of class society, the ownership, the social ownership of means of production, and the end of exploitation of a human being to a human being. Those are our goals, no, not less than that. It's socialism, comrades. And at last, the most freedoms, the widest forms of freedoms for everyone. I salute your party, comrades, in this day, and we commit ourselves to be by your side for socialism. Long live Worker Communist Party of Iran, long live Mansour Hikmat, and long live socialism. Thank you very much.